Well, the Vikings bye week is officially over. We are 10 weeks into the regular season of the National Football League. We'll take a look at where the Vikings would be amongst the 6 teams if the playoffs were to start right now, where they would lie at as far as their position in the playoffs if it were to start right now. And then we're also going to talk about the upcoming game, Chicago at Soldier Field. Primetime Sunday Night Football. I'm a little bit nervous, not actually nervous. I'm actually very nervous for that game. 3 out of the next 4 games for the Vikings are in prime time. I'm always nervous about that because that's just always where they goof up the most, where the lights are brightest and the whole nation is just watching them. So we'll have to see how that goes. We'll preview that game. Things to look out for. And Chicago, giving a couple of props to the Chicago Bears because I wasn't really expecting them to do much this year. And I was saying to myself before the season started, I was like, oh, maybe they'll be a year away because Mitch Trubisky, who knows if he'll be good. Maybe they'll be a year away from making some noise. And forget that. Forget being a year away. They're ready right now. So we'll talk about that. Realistic Randy, Mediokr Best Sports Podcast. Thank you for tuning in. But first, the NFC conference as it stands right now. So I got this from ESPN.com. If the playoffs were to start right now, here's where the Vikings will lie. So first, let's go over the seedings for the 6 teams. Number 1, the Rams, 2, Saints, 3, Bears, 4, Washington, 5, Carolina, and 6 will be the Vikings. The Vikings will be that final playoff team, that final wild card team to go into the playoffs if it were to start today. And then in the hunt, you've got 5 teams. Green Bay at 4-4-1. Then you've got Atlanta, Seattle, Dallas, Philly, all at 4-5. So it's a little bit crowded. We already expected this NFC conference to be really loaded, and that's certainly what's happening right now. So, and according to ESPN's FPI, so I don't know what that acronym stands for, but according to their FPI index, the Vikings have the 4th toughest remaining schedule for the rest of the season. And to that, I say bring it on. This is exactly what you want if you're a Vikings fan. I know normally you're like, oh, you want an easier schedule to beef up your record a little bit more, but this is what you want. You would rather go into the playoffs. If you're going to go into the playoffs, which I do expect the Vikings to, I expect them to win this division still, even though it's a tough-ass schedule. If you're going to go into the playoffs, you want to go in hot. You want to go in with a tough schedule to end the season versus starting out tough and then having a little bit of a cake season to end the rest of the regular season. So last year, for instance, right, my biggest concern last year was the final 3 games of the regular season for the Vikings. It was cake. It wasn't any type of competition at all. And then my projection was, oh, you're going into the playoffs now. Now this is going to be like a real kick-ass team you're going against. You're not used to this for the last month or so. How are you going to respond? Now, they won off that Minneapolis Miracle, but you could tell in the second half they kind of struggled a little bit, especially on defense. But last year, right, to end the regular season, Cincinnati at Green Bay. Green Bay was out of it. They had, what was the dude's name from UCLA, that quarterback? Brett Hundley. They had Brett Hundley. Aaron Rodgers was out for the year. Cincinnati at Green Bay, and then versus Chicago. Chicago, they weren't any good last year. They had their rookie quarterback, Mitch Trubisky, and certainly he's better right now. But that was 3 games to end the regular season before going into the playoffs. Now, compare that to this year. This regular season to end the regular season. Now, the last 3 games, there is Miami, there's Detroit. They are terrible. We're going to beat them. I have no doubt about that. But you're going to end the season against Chicago. That's exactly what you want if you're a Vikings fan, because the Bears are going to still be in it, all right? Whether it's talking about a division, whether they win the division, which I think they won't, I think the Vikings will, or as far as if they make it into a wild card team, they're going to make the playoffs. And that game is going to mean everything, okay? So I like that. I like that a lot. They have the 4th toughest remaining schedule. I'm okay with that. And then as far as, look, this team, they have the talent to finish 6-1. They really do. They just have to execute. They really do. So if I could just give a quick breakdown of this schedule, the remaining schedule, I think they should beat Chicago. It'll be really tough. They should beat Green Bay. Green Bay's overrated. There's nothing to talk about. They'll probably lose to the Patriots. Seattle, I think as long as the secondary steps up, because I would say, like, the defensive line, they should be able to make some noise, but Russell Wilson can evade pressure all day long. He's so used to that. He's been doing that his entire career, but I think you should beat Seattle at CenturyLink. Miami, Detroit, there's nothing to talk about. Their season is going to be over with pretty soon, statistically speaking. If not, they're probably already packing it in, getting ready for the offseason. And then Chicago, okay? And I think they should beat Chicago in Week 17. This team has a talent to go 6-1. Coaching, playmakers, players, game plan, preparation, all that stuff needs to be ready. There's no room for error. So now getting into the Chicago team, when you look at Mitch Trubisky, talk about a jump in year 2. So in year 1, Okay, he threw 7 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. I mean, he's a rookie. Okay, so fine. He completed 59% of his passes, and he threw for just shy of 2,200 yards. Compare that to now, his sophomore year, he's already in 9 games thrown for more yards and has completed more of his passes, but he's thrown for more yards in 9 games than he did in his 12 games last year. So in 9 games, through 9 games this season, the Chicago Bears, they're 6-3. They're leading the NFC North right now. Through 9 games, Mitch Trubisky has thrown just over 2,300 yards compared to 12 games last year, just shy of 2,200 yards. Now, completion percentage, 65.5%, so almost 66% completion percentage to where 59% last year. And his touchdown to interception ratio isn't all that great. I believe before that Lions game, it was an even 2-to-1 ratio, but now it's just over that. 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. So not all that great, but he's taken a leap forward. And you know what? He's done a great job. Shout out to him. I criticized the Bears for giving up a king's ransom for Mitch Trubisky because I was saying to myself, I was like, that's dumb. Why are you trading up? You could have took Mitch Trubisky. You could have had Deshaun Watson. There were so many options out there, but he's doing a great job. I never criticized Mitch Trubisky, the player. I was just like, what they did to have to go get him was just ridiculous, but he's taking a step up. And then when you look at the rest of this team on offense, the core of this offense, yes, Trubisky, he's doing well in his second year. The core of this offense right now is their running backs. Okay, not just the running game, damn it. Okay, listen carefully. The running backs. Jordan Howard is leading the team in rushing. Okay, no surprise there. He's their number 1 running back. No sweat off my back. And then for this next stat, I had to basically just do a double take. Like, wait, what? Are you serious right now? Through 9 games in this regular season for the Chicago Bears, they're 6-3. So Jordan Howard, he's leading the team in rushing. Tariq Cohen, I don't know if it's Tariq Cohen or Tariq Cohen. He's leading the Bears, leading the team in receiving yards. That's ridiculous right now. Really? And then when you talk about their actual receivers, I mean, they've got, Anthony Miller, he's been playing pretty good. Trey Burton, Allen Robinson, they've got weapons all over the place. But I think as long as you minimize the impact of their running game, you're going to need your linebackers to step up. Eric Kendricks, he hasn't been the same this year, but we know he's one of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL, but definitely not this year, okay? We got to be fair, but up to this year, he has been, but this season, not so much. He's taking a drop off, especially in the Saints. They do endless wheel routes on him all day long. He's got to be ready for that. Normally, I say Harrison Smith because, you know, we've been giving up the deep plays, especially early in the season, and then going back into the playoffs. The defense has gotten really, really good the last 4 or 5 weeks. In the regular season before the bye week. So I think now that the defense has stepped up, the defense is a lot more disciplined. The defensive line, they're getting after it. They're creating nonstop pressure. I think you can take a risk with having Harrison Smith play as a third linebacker in 2 linebacker sets on nickel sets out there. I think you can do it. You need to minimize these running backs, especially Cohen, okay? As long as you do that, you should be fine. On offense, now, actually, before I get to offense, let me talk about this right now. And actually, one more thing. The Chicago Bears, I'm looking at their schedule so far this year. All of their games, so they're 6-3 right now. All of the games they lost, so they lost to Green Bay week 1. They lost to Miami in week 6. And then they lost to back-to-back losses against the New England Patriots and Foxborough in week 7. All of those losses were 1-possession games. They lost to the Green Bay Packers 24-23. They lost to the Dolphins 31-28 in overtime. They lost to the Patriots 38-31. All 1-possession games. This is a really good team. Shout out to them. But the one thing that terrifies me the most about this Chicago Bears team is Khalil Mack. Why the hell? First of all, why the hell, John Gruden, what the bleep were you doing trading this dude? I said this in the offseason when they traded him to Chicago Bears. I was like, we got to play this dude twice a year now? Are you serious right now? Khalil Mack. The best way that I can describe Khalil Mack, I swear to goodness, Khalil Mack is basically, and I posted this on Twitter and Facebook, Khalil Mack is basically an NFL blitz player that plays on Madden. All right, so anybody that remembers NFL Blitz, I believe on N64, Nintendo 64, it was basically just the most arcade version of football that you can imagine. Just basically a bunch of Supermans running at each other, just breaking tackles and spearing dudes left and right to where and basically imagine one of those players on Madden, right? So Madden is a more realistic game out there, much more sophisticated game planning. Oh, this guy, here's his stats. He's good at speed, 69 at speed, 88 is strength, and then you got to take all these into consideration, and that's what Khalil Mack is an NFL blitz player on Madden. He is ridiculous. I'm looking at one play right now, and this was shared on NFL Matchup on ESPN. This is at NFL Matchup on Twitter, okay? So this is a tape. This is a game tape from, not a game tape, but a game clip from yesterday's game against the Detroit Lions. This dude, Khalil Mack, okay, so he's rushing the passer. He's rushing Matthew Stafford. Khalil Mack rushes right past a fake-ass chip block by the tight end. Bull rushes over the left tackle and goes and sacks Matthew Stafford. That terrifies the crap out of me, man. This offensive line, they need to step up. This dude is no joke. You can't F around with this dude. This dude will make you pay. Kirk Cousins, I'm not going to sit here and tell all of a sudden, Kirk Cousins, you need to get better pocket awareness. We know he holds on to the ball for too long. We knew that signing up on the dotted line. When he signed that dotted line, we knew what we were getting in Kirk Cousins with that. That is not going to change. The offensive line needs to step up. And I don't want to hear crap about, oh, well, the offensive line, well, you know, the guards are there. No. We didn't need any more help on the offensive line, right? All right, and I don't want to hear about Brian O'Neill. He's been good. He's a dark horse MVP. That dude deserves a lot of love. He's played his ass off. But like I said, they drafted a position in the second round that wasn't of need. He's playing well, yeah. So was our right tackle. Our right tackle spot was okay last year. We need guards, damn it. But our offensive line needs to step up. They need to make plays. I think if you're going to catch this team off guard or minimize the impact of Khalil Mack, you're going to have a really good running attack to establish play action passes, okay? I know that's a real cliche thing to say, but you're really going to need that. So basically you can get maybe you can get Khalil Mack guessing a little bit. And then as soon as you do a play action, don't hold on to the ball. If your first and second read isn't there, dump it off to the check down. If it's not there, throw it away. Don't hold on to the ball, damn it. But that's Kirk Cousins. That's what he does. So hopefully Flip is getting that to him. Hopefully they're working on that. I'm terrified of the rest of the schedule, but you know what? You're supposed to be Super Bowl contenders. You have the talent to go 6-1 the rest of this year. You really, really do. Go out there and do it. And if you perform well and make it into the playoffs, especially with this tough-ass schedule, going into the playoffs, you'll be golden, opposed to last year where you squeaked by the Saints after a 17-0 lead and then got your asses kicked against the Philadelphia Eagles. By the way, the Eagles, they just lost to the Dallas Cowboys. They're now 4-5. They're not the same team. But anyway, now moving forward, now that that's over with, you should beat the Bears. I'll say by one possession. You'll beat the Bears by, I'll say 2 or 3 points. It's going to be a tight game through the rough. Hold down Mitch Trubisky. Minimize those running backs that they have both in the running game and in the passing game, and I think you should be fine. On the offensive side, hey, pass protection needs to step up. Run blocking. Keep doing what you've been doing for the last couple of weeks, and you'll be fine. You should win by a score. I'll give it a final score 31-29. 31-29 or 31-28. A Dan Bailey kick will end the game, and we'll win. We'll go 6-3-1. And hopefully, I don't know how that works. I think at that point, if you beat the Bears, you go 6-3-1, and then the Chicago Bears, they go 6-4. So yeah, the Vikings, they should be ahead of the NFC North Division, if I'm not mistaken, with that tie record. So real quick, I know this is the Vikings show today, but my quick reaction to the Jimmy Butler trade for the Timberwolves. Jimmy Butler is now going to the Philadelphia Sixers. The Wolves get Dario Saric, Robert Covington, and a second-round pick, 2020 or 2022. Don't have it in front of me. My initial reaction to this is I like it. I do like it. I think if you had paid attention and traded him earlier, then you could have yielded a better return for Jimmy Butler. And you know what's funny? I found this out through Judd Zoga had tweeted this out. He quote tweeted this. But then this is from Adrian Wojnarowski. Adrian Wojnarowski, Woj, tweeted out, quote, after winless 5-game road trip that ended with the loss to Sacramento on Friday night, Tom Thibodeau had come to the realization that the Wolves couldn't win with Butler in this dysfunctional environment, sources said. He told associates that Minnesota wouldn't play another game with Butler. So because you lost five straight road games All of a sudden you say, oh, we're not going to win with Jimmy Butler. Anybody could have told you that. How did we all know that, but you didn't? That is an indictment on Tibbs. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You should have traded him early. If it was true that he notified Tibbs and Glenn Taylor saying, I want to be traded after last season ended, you should have traded him right then and there. That was stupid. But moving forward for that, Tom Thibodeau should be fired right now. But it's Glenn Taylor. He'll probably stick around for another 10 years. So as far as what you get from that, I like Dario Saric a lot. I really do. He's that tough guy. He's not a rim protector by any means, but he's a tough physical big. And I've been saying you need a tough physical big next to Cat. I like Taj Gibson. I do. But as far as that, and he's a really gritty player. He really is. But he's getting up there in age. And Taj Gibson has been really good shooting the three the last couple of games. But Dario Saric, he's had a rough start to the season, but he's gotten better as of late. He can shoot the threes. He's good underneath the basket. He can block shots. He plays really, really good defense, on-ball defense, good on switching off screens. I like him a lot. Robert Covington, I like Robert Covington, but my concern with that is, hey, he's going to take away minutes from developing Josh Okogie. I think you should have Josh Okogie starting. I think you really should, unless you're going to have Andrew Wiggins come off the bench. That's something you should maybe look at. But it's Tom Thibodeau. This is going to be a crap fest. So as far as with Tom Thibodeau off the helm, like, take Tom Thibodeau away. These two players would be good. I think this would be a really good start. And Dario Saric is still on his rookie year. Okay, so that means once his rookie year is up, and I think it's about 2 more years left before his rookie year is up, that means he's going to be a restricted free agent, which means the Wolves will have team control for these next 2 years, and then whatever contract they decide to match for 4 years. The Wolves are going to have team control for the next 6+ years over Dario Saric. That's why when Karl Anthony Towns, when he didn't really immediately sign the contract extension and be like, oh, he hasn't signed his contract, he's a restricted free agent. He's coming off his rookie year. They're not going anywhere. Okay, so there's nothing to worry about there. And then you got Robert Covington. Again, I like him. I just think you can do something with Josh Okogie. But with Tom Thibodeau there, I have a feeling that these players may be shells of themselves. I think they will be. The Minnesota Timberwolves, they need to be, or they're not even they need to be, they should be in rebuild mode. They really, really should. You're not going to win anything anytime soon. You have a couple of trade assets that you can probably look to trade. You got Derrick Rose, who's been amazing this year on a super team-friendly deal. He's making just under $2 million this year before he becomes an unrestricted free agent next year. You should trade him to a team for a championship contending team, a team that think they can add him to his bench or whatever, or you've also got Taj Gibson. The attractiveness to that is that Taj Gibson, he's a really good player, but what's really more attractive with him is that he's an expiring contract. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent after next year. And then after that, who's the other guy I got? Oh, Jeff Teague. I think you should go after, and I said this last week, Terry Rozier. If Terry Rozier is seriously out there, and if Danny Ainge and the Boston Celtics are going to go out of their way and trade him, you should be one of those teams that are fielding offers to them. I think you should absolutely go out there and do that because Jeff Teague, he's nice, he's okay, but I think Terry Rozier, he's on a team-friendly contract right now. He's going to be a restricted free agent soon, so you would have team control over him too. If you can do that, you should go ahead and do that. So Derrick Rose, Taj Gibson, and Jeff Teague, you should really go out of your way to do that. The Minnesota Timberwolves, their focus should be not just rebuild mode, but you should also be focused on making Minnesota an attractive destination. That's what you should do. When it comes to the NBA, the allure of a city doesn't matter anymore. You got players that want to play with Russell Westbrook. Paul George went out of his way to sign an extension, a long-term extension, I believe 5 years, with the Oklahoma City Thunder. Is there anything to do with Oklahoma City? I don't know. I don't think so. You got teams like Giannis, okay? Giannis with the Milwaukee Bucks. You're going to have players out there that want to go play for the Bucks just to play with Giannis, okay? It snows out there. I don't want to hear anything about the Minnesota, oh, it snows in Minnesota. You need to make this an attractive destination, and the only way that you can do that is through draft picks, and or trading for players that are still on their rookie year deals, so that way you can have team control when they're restricted free agents. And then that way, if you can build this thing up, then you can make it an attractive destination. But you need a coach that can do that. As long as Tibbs is there, I don't think that will ever happen. But if you get a better coach out there, a better coach that can utilize Cap more instead of using him. What was that game they played against the Kings where he had 28 or 29 in the first half, and then in the second half, outside of offensive boards, he didn't get the ball much at all. If you have a coach that can utilize him more and get the most out of these players outside of his Timberwolves players from Chicago, I think you can make this an attractive destination. But as long as Tibbs is there, I have serious doubts. So anyway, we will be back on Thursday to talk more Minnesota Timberwolves. Thank you guys for following the show. You can follow this show, subscribe on YouTube, iTunes, Twitter @realistic_Randy, Facebook @realisticrandy. We'll see you Thursday.